Good morning, everyone who's joined our webinar this morning. I'm Nadia Reed-Taylor from LIO Global, and we've got Megan Copley here and Christina Georgiaki. Just briefly on LIO Global, we are specialists in the residency and citizenship by investment space, as well as international property. And this morning, we're going to be talking about the Greek Golden Visa. Why has it become so popular? What are the benefits? And all about the program. Megan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Morning, everybody. My name is Megan Copley. I'm the sales director at LIO Global, and Nadia and I work very closely together across all the programs. My main focus on the fundamentals of my experience have been in property investment. I've worked in this industry for a very long time. I've worked for global leaders in the UK, in France, and other parts of the world, including Savills and family offices for billionaires, where we focused around property. So a big part of what I'll tell you about today is where I would invest in property in order to get the Golden Visa. And then we've got Christina, who will tell you the fundamentals of the Golden Visa and is our professional law firm in Greece to process the applications. Christina, please go ahead.
Good morning from Athens. Thank you for being with us today. I'm Christina Georgiaki. I'm the founder and managing partner of Georgiaki & Partners Law Firm. We count 17 years of experience in investment migration and foreign direct investments. We have offices in the two main cities of Greece, Athens and Thessaloniki, and we cover the rest of the Greek region with local partners. As I mentioned, our expertise are foreign direct investment and investment migration. So we handled more than 800 Golden Visa applications per year the past 10 years that the Golden Visa program is effective in Greece. I'm teaching in the American University of Athens International Finance. That's my expertise. And I'm an elected member of the political committee of the government and advisor to the Minister of Development of Greece.
Thank you, Christina. As you can see, we've got an excellent team. Just a brief framework. So this morning we're going to talk about the Greek Golden Visa, the framework, the recent changes that have come in. Then Megan's going to discuss in detail some of the property opportunities that we have. And at the end, if anyone has any questions, we'll do a short Q&A. So I think let's jump right into it. Let's talk about the Golden Visa. What is the framework? What are the requirements? And what do you need to do?
Okay. Greek Golden Visa has become very popular lately, especially after Portugal and Spain are out of the picture. So we've got many special characteristics. First of all, Greece is a full member of the European Union, International Monetary Union, and NATO, a member of the Schengen Treaty since 1997. And we hold the 5th most powerful passport, and we rank 7th in the index of settlement freedom for 2008. This is why the program is so popular, and more than 5 billion euros have been invested in the Golden Visa program last year. The process is very straightforward and very modernized. We don't need any documents from the country of origin. The investor has to pay only one visit in the Greek territory to provide biometrics. Everything can be handled through a power of attorney that can be signed in the country of residence of the investor. And only for the submission of biometric figures, we need a simple, basic touristic visa type C that we arrange for our client in order to visit Greece. Very important thing compared to other programs, there is no requirement for criminal record or health certificate. The Golden Visa is a special ID card, not a sticker in the passport, so you have no obligation to disclose to any authority that you hold a Golden Visa, actually, apart from the Greek authorities. And the Greek authorities do not share data with other countries regarding the Golden Visa holders. Very important, we have no restrictions about the time you have to spend in Greece. You can spend from 0 to 365 days per year. You can move freely across all the countries of Schengen zone. as if you were a holder of a Greek passport. And when you are in Greece, you are treated as a Greek citizen with free access to public health and education. No further tax liabilities. That means no non-dom tax for the investors deriving from the possession of residence permit. Greek Golden Visa program is so popular because it applies to an extended family circle. So not only spouse, but children under the age of 21, parents of the main applicant, in-laws of the main applicant. The couple, of course, can share the investment by 50%. And the very important part, that children that exceed the 21st year of age can apply independently for a 3-year extension. And during this 3-year extension, they also have access to labor market in Schengen zone countries. The duration of the Golden Visa is 5 years and it's automatically renewed only by providing a certificate that the investment has been preserved. Of course, these years count for somebody who's interested to apply for Greek citizenship in the future. After the reformation of the legislation, we've got 2 main zones of property. There's first zone at 800,000 euros that includes the region of Athens, Attica, the second largest city, Thessaloniki, and all the islands that have population above 3,100 inhabitants, of course, including Mykonos and Santorini, the popular islands of Greece. The second zone, 400,000 minimum investments. It's all other regions. And for both zones, don't forget to mention that the minimum size of the property has to be 120 square meters. And then we have a very interesting exception at 250,000 euros. We can have eligibility for a Golden Visa when we are referring to properties that have changed uses from commercial to residential, or for listed historical buildings that have been restored. Of course, we have no restriction on location or property size in this exceptional category. So this is more or less the program as it is right now. So
thank you.
We can take it from there and discuss about the investments and the properties that are available in Greece at the moment.
Christina, before we go into the property, I just had 2 questions I thought would be good for you to talk about. The first one is, are any visits required in order to apply for the Golden Visa and in order to maintain your residency in Greece? So that'll be my first question.
No. As I said, only 1 visit is required in order to provide biometrics after the final purchase contract is completed and the application is approved. In order to get the plastic card, you need to pay 1 visit with a simple touristic visa that we arrange for the client to obtain from the Greek consulate of the place of residence. And there is no minimum stay requirement in Greece in order to maintain the Golden Visa. So you can spend from 0 to the entire year here in Greece.
Although we can definitely recommend a visit over the summer season. The second question is, we obviously do a lot of work also with the Caribbean programs, other European countries, and I think one of the really interesting advantages that Greece has over, for example, some of the Caribbean options is the EU education advantages. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, first of all, if you hold the Greek Golden Visa, you have free access, the investor has free access in public Greek education, as long as public Greek healthcare system. But also the investor is treated as EU resident in all Schengen zone EU universities. That means that the tuition that is required is not the tuition that an overseas student has to pay, but the special tuition that European citizens pay in these high-profile universities in Germany, in France, and elsewhere.
Okay, perfect. Anything you'd like to add, Megan?
No, I was thinking about the education, actually. I think it's a really good point for our clients. Another thing I think is important to ask Christina at this stage is, Christina, where are your
inquiries, clients? Where would you say a lot of them are coming from? Countries, more specifically.
Practically, at the moment, we have clientele from all over the globe, from of course, South Africa, Middle East countries, Turkey, which is next door to us, to US citizens who are very interested to have EU access and access to the European universities. Even UK citizens after Brexit are interested in having the freedom of movement within EU countries. Of course, we used to have a lot of clientele from former USSR countries. Now this stopped with the war. But practically, we even have clients from Japan at the moment that are applying for Greek Gold visa. Every business, there's a huge number of businessmen who want to avoid the hassle to apply at a consulate for a Schengen visa. And the Greek program tax is very low cost and straightforward and very quick to obtain. So they prefer it instead of going in consulates back and forth. And yet, although it's very low cost program, very simple, it still has a good yield on investment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think to add to that, we've seen an increased demand from our South African clients because of the single entry Schengen visas that they're receiving. The Schengen zone's getting stricter, and therefore people are trying to hedge their bets between programs closing and their Schengen visa stays getting shorter. But I've also got a lot of demand out of the UK now, so that people can spend more than 90 days in 180, which is what the UK passport allows. You can spend now 6 months straight in your Euro summer in the Schengen zone. So yeah, absolutely, I've seen that.
One question that I just received regarding the education. If the child enters EU education, we have the right to maintain the golden visa until 24th year of age. Then we have other type of visas, depending on the country, that allow to the child to continue the education within EU. But most common practice is that once the child loses the right, turns 24, the property is passed from the parent to the child, so the child becomes main applicant and the parents remain eligible as parents of main applicant, dependents of main applicant.
Christina, just say that again, because it's actually a really important point, and I just want to make sure that everybody understood that under the current legislation or previous, because as of the 31st of August, we did have a change in legislation where you could buy anything in the market, any property at a certain price point. Now you would have to buy a qualifying investment at that price point, but the property can be passed down to a child, and then the parents can become the dependents.
Eligible as dependents, yes. And also a very important characteristic is that in Greece, up to third degree relatives can sponsor the investment. That means that the child can buy and the parent can pay the price, or one individual can buy and sister and brother can pay the price of the property. And this is very important in terms of all the bank restrictions that we face, bank and tax restrictions that we face in our home countries, that the system allows sponsorship in the investment in Greece.
Yeah. And in many cases, well, obviously it depends, but when one marries and has children, they can then add those dependents to the application in a future setting.
Again, the future setting is that it passes from generation to generation. I also have a question now that how succession works. In Greece, you can choose either to follow the legislation, the legal framework of your own country. So to go by South African legislation, if we talk for a South African client, which we strongly do not recommend, or after the purchase to sign a notarial deed that you appoint your heritage, where the property should go if it comes to inheritance.
Okay. That's what we found more common. It's allowed people to have an in-country will, an in-country succession plan for the property.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
I think something I'd just like to mention is that, you know, as a company that specializes in these different residency citizenship programs, our journey with our clients is not just here's a program, off you go, get your residency, thank you, bye-bye. You know, it's a much more, I suppose, kind of concierge service that we do, is going through the whole process from Forex, helping introduce to offshore bank, you know, structuring, things like that. We bring in specialists from all over the world. And I think it's not just about buying a property. It's really, I think this is where you come in, Meg, now, is, you know, choosing a property. One of the advantages Greece has over, for example, the Caribbean programs and some of the others, they prescribe where you can invest. So it has to be a government approved project. Whereas in Greece, obviously, you've got that freedom that you have much better choice in where you can invest your money and choose a property that can actually give you a really good rental yield in euro, as well as the added benefit of the golden visa. So I think, Meg, do you want to talk a little bit about the properties?
And yes, definitely. I want to say a few things on that. Thanks, Nadia. That's a great prompt. Also, Greece at the moment, your actual asset value compared to the rest of Europe, and specifically to Portugal, who recently closed their property-related golden visa program, your asset value price points are still a lot lower. So there's a real opportunity in Greece for price growth in the actual property. And that's driven by many things. More and more people who will reside in Greece for work. There's a lot more internationally operated businesses whose staff are coming through. Obviously, the most obvious one is lifestyle. People from all over the world, specifically a lot of Americans looking to migrate out for a larger portion of the year. And that's what we saw happen in Portugal. We saw property price growth over the years by almost 100% over 10 years, in some cases 200%, depending on where you were. So for me, an exciting opportunity in Greece is that you can buy amazing property in the center of Athens for a price of 250,000 euros. That's where I see the opportunity in Greece, and I see the growth in the long term. Changes in Greece of foreign nationals coming in to work, to reside, to retire, or to start businesses, obviously, but lots of opportunities even with digital nomads. So I think that's where, besides a rental return in the short term, I think it's an investment into a country that has so much promise, and was one of the leading economies in 2023. So Greece is, probably a most promising, safe, kind. People are really, when you go to Greece, they're kind, the staff are kind, they're welcoming. So there's a lot to say for Greece.
And don't forget the food.
And the food.
But I think, Greece was the season of the summer. Everyone this summer in Cape Town, every person you spoke to said, oh no, we're in Paros, we're in Skiathos and Corfu. Everyone from South Africa, I think, moved to Greece for the summer.
Yes.
So,
and I would like to add, as a local Greek, that Greece economy has been recognized by the economists for the 2 previous years as the best performing economy in the European Union. Thessaloniki, the second largest city of Greece, has been appointed as the 3rd best city for digital nomads for remote working in the world. The past 3 years, we've got large hubs that have been established in Greece. For example, the pharmaceutical Pfizer, Microsoft, Google, etc. have established large hubs in Greece, and there is a huge housing demand from expats that come for work in Greece. And don't forget that the port of Piraeus have been bought by the Chinese company COSCO. So we've got a lot of development and expanding on the way in terms of transportation in Greece in the following years.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to share with you a development. And again, back to a little bit about how we work with Christina. Before we show a development to any of our clients, we will have got the sign-off and the tick of approval from Christina and her band of lawyers to ensure that it meets the requirements for Golden Visa. that the building permits, engineers certificates, are in place to ensure that it does actually qualify for the golden visa, which is something, one should definitely concern themselves with when they're looking at it, that it meets, that it's signed off by a reputable law firm. And secondly, the location, price point, a second opinion from a well-regarded law firm in Athens and Thessaloniki, I think is very important. So we have had Christina sign off, and we've also obviously looked at this ourselves and decided it's the best possible investment we can find in Athens at the moment. So one sec, I'm just sharing my screen. Can you see my screen, Nadia?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so focusing now on a change of use. The 250,000 investment is personally where I see the opportunity. A property investment strategy that I've worked with for a long time, especially in London about 15 years ago for our clients, where our biggest, most prominent investors chose to buy what you call micro apartments as close to the center of London as possible. And that was their investment strategy. It proved the most robust. The reason being, it's a low entry level price point, so it sells to both end user and investor. And secondly, it rents very quickly, because often when people are transient through a city, they'd like to get as close to the center of the city as possible. So rents are, you've got 10 people for the same apartment, as opposed to trying to rent out one big apartment that fits into a top 1% category. You're always going to find somebody looking to be in the center of town. So this is an old education building. It'll be converted into 7 apartments. On the left-hand side here, you'll see the types of finishes that they'll be going for, very typical in Athens, nice, light, even concrete style. So they'll be in-fitting with the local demand and criteria. Each apartment will be 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. The sizes are very good. When we refer to the UK as a micro apartment, we're talking 25 square meters. In Greece, they would never allow that. So it's got to be about 48 to 57 square meters, which
is... Greece is a closet in 25 square meters. You don't have properties.
Exactly.
It's not an apartment.
No, exactly. Whereas in London, 50 square meters is a 2-bedroom apartment. So
spacious 2-bedroom, Meg.
Yes, sorry, spacious 2-bedroom, and with 2 doubles. So here we've got a proper sized 1-bedroom apartment, and a few of these have terraces. And this is in the center of Athens. It's within walking distance of the Acropolis, of Plaka, of Kolonaki. Plaka being that, if you've been to Athens, that lovely part of Athens with the shop-lined streets that are only pedestrianized, and then Kolonaki being the Mayfair of Athens. So there's a bit of information here. We'll share the brochure with everyone on the call. But here, most importantly, is the location. So you can see the Acropolis, Plaka, Kolonaki, and the apartments are here on Marnie Street. So very, very near to the center of Athens. And you've got the park on the right-hand side here as well.
Meg, I just want to add that Marnie Street is a very beautiful street. I sent it to someone and they said, it looks a bit like Paris.
Yeah, I know, so it's a lovely street.
It's actually beautiful.
It's actually a double-sized street, so it allows for a flow-through of traffic rather than just stationary cars. So here are the floor plans. So we've got 7 apartments over the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floor. So 1st floor with a little balcony. As you can see, nice sizes. It's got a lift. 2nd floor of 4 apartments. Also balcony here. It's quite popular in Athens to have a balcony, and very, very much in Greece that there is some outside space. And again, at the top floor with the 2 apartments, very spacious apartments. So yeah, it's 18 Marnie Street if anyone wants to look at it on Google Maps. 7 apartments, as mentioned, and all from 47 to 57 square meters. And he has an idea of the finishes. Very typical Grecian type finishes. Okay. So, back to we'll share the brochure with everyone that's joined and anyone that would like to see it, of course. And I'm available for a Q&A now or after this call for a more direct one-on-one session to discuss it. But yeah, this at the moment appeals to us, is an excellent opportunity to invest into Athens at 250. Before the change in legislation, the minimum investment into central Athens was 500,000 euros. I was looking at apartments last year in central Athens. These were one bedrooms at 500,000 euros. So, obviously residential, different profile, but this is an opportunity to buy excellent real estate for what is, a lot of money, but not in the context of real estate in Athens, actually quite an affordable sum for what you're getting.
And Meg, maybe just discuss a little bit, when will construction begin on this project?
Engineers
renovation rather.
So renovation will begin shortly to complete in August of 25. And Christina and her team will obviously manage the process, but it's a very quick build. It's a refurbishment building. One can complete the purchase and apply for their golden visa before the finalization of construction, but the construction will be delivered to the end of next year, and we can start to rent out. On rentals, sorry, another one to mention, it is a prescription of the new golden visa that you rent long term. A lot of Athens has been used for Airbnb and other short-term rentals because this has been actually unregulated. It's now an attempt to regulate this market, but there's a real demand for long-term rentals, both from professionals and students. And this is definitely not student accommodation, but you can put a student in there if you like. And there's great ways to put students or long-term rentals in and secure yourself as a landlord. So there is definitely an opportunity, and there will absolutely be demand for this.
And just to add to that, the properties will be fully managed and rented out. We have a team that handles everything. Christina, Megan, I don't know if you want to elaborate on that a little bit, but it's a very hands-off investment for foreigners.
Yeah, so Christina's firm will handle management.
We offer turnkey services from bookkeeping regarding the annual tax payment to rental agreements, to follow the rental agreement throughout the years, to be able to inform the owner, the investor, about the prices here in Greece, and everything else needed. We are boots on the ground to assist the investors with all the procedure and everything that has to be done after the golden visa is issued.
Thank you.
I think that's a big aspect. I don't think South Africans want to be practicing Google Translate for Greek contracts.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, Christina, one more thing just to maybe add on is tax implications, any taxes on the properties. What does that look like in Greece?
Yes, there is the annual property tax that applies on the property. It's 3 to 5 euros per square meter annually. That means, as an example, for the apartment that we just saw, it could be like maximum 250 euros annually. We inform the clients and we collect the payments from them, and we fulfill the obligation to the tax authority. This is on the property, not in the individual. There is no known tax in Greece. And of course, rentals are taxed separately at a 15% rate.
Yeah. So very important on that point now is I get asked a lot, when you get a residency card for Greece, do you become a tax resident in Greece?
You cannot.
Exactly. You are not. You are just a resident of the country, and it's a travel document. You are only a tax resident where you reside for more than half the year. And where you apply to be a tax resident. So you just pay tax on your income as you would anywhere else where you've got an investment or an asset.
I think one of the big advantages is that the property, also the closing costs of doing the golden visa, you've got the investment and then you've got the application and processing costs. Compared to a lot of the other countries, Greece is a lot lower, which I think has quite a good advantage.
Yes.
Meg or Christina, do you want to maybe just briefly run us through the process of applying? What would be the process? Where do you pay what at what stage? I think that would be really helpful for people to know.
You go, Christina.
The process is very simple, Nadia. We start after we choose the property. We just send a draft of POA to the client that has to be notarized and apostilled in South Africa. Then we proceed with obtaining a Greek tax registration number for the client. That, of course, as said, doesn't mean that becomes a Greek tax resident. It's for the purpose of purchasing the property. There is no requirement for opening a Greek bank account in order to obtain golden visa. So if one client wishes, we can do it after the golden visa is issued, but there is no requirement for having a golden visa. The price of the property can be transferred from anywhere in the world. The client will receive a due diligence for the property chosen, stamped and sealed by our law firm. And we proceed with the notary public and the lawyer from the other side, from the seller's side, with all the documentation needed for the final contract. Once the final contract is signed, the ownership is transferred under the condition that the seller transfers the price of the property within 10 days to a month. That's upon agreement with the seller. A second document is signed, a payoff act deed, when the price is paid, to lift this restriction that the price has been paid. And after that, we register the contract to the land registry, the cadastral office, and we are good to apply for golden visa within a week from signing the final contract and paying the price. In 2 or 3 days' time, we get the approval of our application, and we can book an appointment after discussing with the client the availability for the biometrics procedure. We just need the client to be in Greece for 24 hours on a working day. It takes like half an hour to get to immigration authority on your appointment and provide fingerprints. And after the fingerprints, apart from the cities of Athens and Thessaloniki that have huge volume, that's the reason we do not submit applications there. We have the right to submit anywhere in Greece our application, regardless of property location. Normally, we have the ID cards within 2 months after the biometrics is provided.
Thank you. Okay. So is there any questions from anyone in the audience for any of us?
So, Bongani, I see you've got a question. Please go ahead. I'm not quite sure how to see where the question is.
Place it in the chats, most probably.
Q&A session.
Oh, please, if you can just put the question into the Q&A,
yes.
Then we can see it there.
There we go.
Just while we wait for that, I thought I'd just cover a little bit. So the industry of residency and citizenship, we've seen so many changes over the last, over the last sort of 5 years. Programs are closing, requirements are changing, and I think this is why we're in a really good position with Greece at the moment, just because of the advantages of what it does offer. I see Bongani here. Should I just, there we go. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what I wanted to know, the 250,000 euros, can it be paid cash, or is there any terms over a period, or how does it work? Since the property is going to be ready in August.
Yes.
So one can commit now and pay it over 6 months or whatever the case may be, or must it be paid cash?
There's always room for negotiation. It's like anything. If the money's coming out of South Africa, we fully understand that exchange control is a reality and it can take time. So if you would like to proceed with the golden visa, you can't make an application until such a time that the property has been paid for in full. But if you need a 6 month period between now and concluding the payment and we agree payment terms, we can ask the developer.
Yeah, for me, I think that's first prize. I mean, that will be perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
we understand. We've had this. I personally have been doing the Greek Golden Visa for almost 3 years now, and we contend with exchange control every step of the way. So it is a case of sometimes delaying things slightly for either a tax clearance or into a new tax year. So we do understand.
Okay, there was another Greek 10-year visa in Athens, just outside Athens, next to the river, took some kind of harbor outside Athens. You probably know about that.
Perez?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that over now? What happened on that one?
You mean
I know
the
you may have
properties?
mentioned that. Sorry?
You mean the properties in Perez?
Yes.
So you can buy anywhere you like in Greece now. It just has to be either a change of use or an existing heritage building with a refurbishment contract at 250. So you used to be able to buy any type of property at the 250 mark, but that legislation was changed at the end of August. So that's why we've kind of moved away from Perez, because we can actually buy in central Athens for 250 now. Whereas you couldn't before, you would have to buy for a minimum of 500,000. So this is our, window of opportunity, we feel.
I think also
I really like this question. So 51 square meters for one bedroom. I really like it. I mean, it's spacious. It's very good.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
I think one thing I would just like to add is that it's very easy, well, somewhat easy to find property all over. The key is to finding a good property investment, and that's really where our team comes in on the ground. We really source, we look for specific projects with developers we've worked with, we have a track record. The last thing we want is any issues on the property front that could impact the Golden Visa. I also see another questions come in. What is an estimate of closing costs and any other application costs? Basically, we would put together a specific cost breakdown. It does also depend on the number of dependents and applicants in an application. Christina, do you want to give a rough sort of percentage maybe on what are the closing costs over and above the property?
Yes, we have the transaction tax was 3.09%. So for a 250K project is 7,725 euros. And then we have legal expenses for registering the property, which is approximately 0.5% on the value. It's something like 1,500 euros. The state fee for the Golden Visa is 2,000 euros for the main applicant, plus 100 euros for medical insurance per person. And the rest of the applicants, the cost is 150 euros state fee. And the legal fees for the notary public and the lawyer is 1% plus VAT on the property value, plus the costs of Golden Visa. So you are looking at a maximum of 7 to 8% costs, administration costs regarding obtaining the Golden Visa from A to Z, including everything: translations, power of attorneys, stamp duties, state fees, etc.
Yeah, and I think it's very important what Christina just mentioned there. Your deed, any leases, etc. Christina's team will provide a stamped, approved, translated version, because Greek is not something you can copy and paste into Google. So yeah, all your translation or translated documents will be received and approved by her team. So it makes a big difference in the transaction.
Also, I have a question that if it's safe to assume that no transfer duties are applicable since one would be buying directly from the developer. No increased transfer duties apply everywhere. This 3.09% the transaction tax applies everywhere. So we have it even if we buy from the developer. And another questions, Megan, probably for you, the estimated rental return on the units on Marnie Streets.
Yeah. It's hard to say at the moment. I think demand and time of year will come into effect. If this is delivered in August and rented out, September is a very busy time of year. I'm going to estimate somewhere between 700 and 1,000 euros a month. something like that, from a long-term tenant. Okay.
Great. I think if they, sorry, Bongani. What do I unmute?
Fund automatically gets the card as well. Like a married, or if you're married, I mean, your partner
Maybe
gets
he's not asking a question, not. Okay, so any other questions before we go from the Q&A? No, I think that's it. Please do reach out to us. I'm available for a one-on-one call. I've done this a few times. I've worked with Christina for a long time and Nadia. So if you'd like to speak to me, we can discuss your specific circumstances more specifically, and see how we might be able to help you get a really great property investment in Greece and the golden visa for you and your family.
One last question for Christina. How many visas have you done?
I believe that it's 800 per year. Years 10, it should be something like 5,000 to 6,000 main applicants for 10 years that the program is active. We never counted them one by one, to be honest. But we have handled a lot. Only this August, with the change of legislation, we had 131 separate golden visa files handled by our law firm.
And before we wrap up, there's one more question that's come in. What additional costs should an investor make provision for the property during the rental period? You know, council taxes, maintenance, things like that.
So thankfully, in Greece, it's a system where the tenant covers all associated costs. A owner would just cover a rental management cost associated, and I think, is there a few €100 a year? There's not really anything to take into account, Christina, other than rental management.
No.
Yeah.
And increased legislation imposes that the owner is responsible only for damages at the property, only for repairs that have to do with unusual usage of apartment, with large disasters, an earthquake, a fire, or something like that. Everything that's in the daily use of the apartment, the tenant is liable to restore it.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's also one that's important to note when buying a property, is why we're looking at the refurbishment or new build. Obviously now it is part of the prescription, but it does mean that you've got in a level of security as an owner that you've got nothing to fix. So unlike South Africa, no rates and taxes, no building management maintenance. Even the lift servicing is handed off to the tenant. They've got to take care of the property, and an average long-term lease length in Greece is around 3 years. So you get tenants who stay for a very long time. So yeah, good rental market, and relatively effective compared to South Africa. Okay.
Perfect. Firstly, thank you to everyone for making the time to come and listen to us. I see we've got an absolutely amazing turnout, so thank you for making the effort. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of us, and we will share all the details after this call or webinar. And yeah, have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.